Hello friends. Today we're going to use some scrap wood, some salvage spindles, an old piece of fence to make a beautiful piece of pumpkin decor for your home for fall. Let's get started. I have this piece of old fencing, this just piece of scrap, and we're going to take this Dollar Tree decor piece and use it as a template. I want to place it over those two screw holes because I think that gives it character. I'm just going to trace around it where I want it on the piece of board, and then I'm going to take it over to my scroll saw and cut it out. And it's going to be the cutest little decor piece you've ever seen. I'm going to show you here because some of you have commented that you like to watch this process. It is pretty fun to watch in fast motion. It doesn't go this fast. Obviously, I've sped this up, but this is a very fun thing to do. I really enjoy using my scroll saw, and the possibilities are endless. But today, we're just making a pumpkin. And I didn't throw that across the room. It just looks like it in fast motion. And we are almost done with this cute little pumpkin. And this is what it looks like when we're done. Now we're going back over to the craft table. And we are going to take the lover of flowers. Oh, I'm just showing you that it will sit up by itself. We're going to take the lover of flowers transfer book by Iron Orchid Design, IOD. And it has florals and verses in it. And I've used a lot and shared a lot. But we're going to use this beautiful floral right here. And I'm going to cut it out. And the beautiful thing about these transfers is you can cut the pieces down to size. You can cut them to make them fit your project however you want. So I just cut that extra little piece off, and don't worry, we're going to use it. We are not going to waste it. So we're going to cut off what we're not going to use and then match it up. Now first, I'm going to take some Big Top sealer and I'm going to seal in this wood because this wood is a little bit rough and a little bit thirsty. You can see it's soaking up that Big Top. I had to go back and squirt a little bit more in my lid, and I put a pretty healthy coat on there because I really want this transfer to stick. I don't want it to be troublesome to get on there. I don't normally seal my projects before I put transfers on, but I didn't want to have any problems with this since this was an older, very dry piece of wood. So I'm just putting that, I take it off of the carrier sheet, and then I'm just going to rub this vellum sheet with the little stick that's provided. And then I like to create that little bubble you see. They call that ride the wave. You see that little wave of air bubble, that pocket under there? And then I'm just pushing it forward with my left hand while I scrape with my right hand to make sure it's all coming up. And then the tiny little detail pieces tend to not want to come up as easily or around the edges, especially on an uneven surface that's not smooth. But see where it was a little smoother over there, it came up very quickly and very easily. And I'm just going to tuck it around the edges because I like that look. Then I'm going to take that vellum sheet that it came off of and the same side that it was on. I'm going to rub all over the project to make sure that it's all down good and that all the little sticky glue pieces are rubbed off. I'm going to take a little dowel stick. I'm going to put some hot glue on it, and I'm going to roll a little tiny piece of sandpaper around it because I'm going to make a little sanding stick. Where that little hole was, I just want to sand that transfer so that you can actually see that it was like the hole looks the same as the one in the top. Very simple, very easy to do. Now I'm going to take a really fine grit sandpaper and distress this transfer ever so slightly. Take some clear wax by DIY and clear wax the whole thing, front, back, and sides. Now I wanted to make this stem a little bit longer, or the peduncle, whatever you want to call it. So I took a piece of styrofoam that was some packing in something because, you know, I never ever throw anything away. Yes, your girl is a hoarder. And this hot knife, I plugged it in and let it get hot. You can see how hot it is. It slices right through that like hot butter. And I'm being very careful. And you see that smoke? You'll want to wear a mask if it's something that has an odor to it. And some safety glasses because it will burn your eyes. But this is such a fun tool to have. I'm not sure if that is in my Amazon storefront, but I can definitely check and make sure it is linked if they still have it. I'm just showing you how fun this is. I mean, I could sit and just do this to styrofoam all day long. It is so satisfying. Okay, but we have to move on with this video or it will be too long. So I'm just going to use some Titebond Quick and Thick to adhere this little peduncle, faux peduncle, because if I try to hot glue that, you just saw what heat did to the styrofoam. Okay, while we set that aside and let that dry, we're going to paint a little tag. I wanted to match it up with the florals in that beautiful transfer. So I mixed a little cowgirl coral with a little petticoat pink. Nope, that's not the right color. I was kind of going for that little bit lighter peachy color that's in there. Then I decided to go for the deeper, darker color, just add a little bit of it in there. So I mixed a little weathered wood. I mixed a little bit of the chocolate. These are all DIY paints that I'm using, by the way. And I get my DIY products and my IOD products from Sammy over at www.unicorndustdesigns.com. That website is linked in my description box if you want to go check it out. You can see all the different colors that I added to make this color of paint. I'm just adding whatever I think. I just keep mixing until I get a color that I like. And then you see my little heat gun over there. I keep drying it down because DIY paints dry lighter than they are when they're wet. So I just kept painting this little thing and using my heat gun and painting it. And I left this in so you could see the struggle. Like I don't just mix it up and it's the perfect color and I move on with my life. No, it's a struggle for me. And then I'm just going to distress it a little bit with a little bit of sandpaper and buff it really, really, really good with this little piece of a t-shirt. Oh, yeah, painted my fingernails because I guess I wanted a little design on it with a little bit of that coral color on there. And then remember that little piece of a flower that I cut off the top? Well, we're going to use that. I told you we were going to use it. So here we go. Just going to press it on there, peel it off. Easy peasy. Burnish it down. I'm feeling to see which side is the side I need to burnish with. It's a little bit rough. One side's slick, one side's rough. Now, this is my dark wax brush. I'm just going to use the dark wax that's already left over in there because your girl does not clean those wax brushes. I'm sorry. When they get too nasty, I just throw them away and use a new one. But I use them for months before that happens. Now we're going to take some twine, just some little thin jute twine. I'm going to glue it down on the back and then just wrap it around. This is not a new technique. You've seen me do it. You've seen every other creator on YouTube do this. So we're just going to use some hot glue until we get up to the peduncle, the brown part. We're already on the peduncle, but the brown part. I just like to say the word peduncle. Uncle peduncle. Those are fun words to say. I don't know why. Anyway, then we're going to use this Titebond Quick and Thick. You could use Mod Podge. You could use any type of glue. This is just what I like. I have it handy. It dries quick. It's thick. I like it. You use what you like. We all have our favorite crafting items, and so we just use what we like. Okay, so we're just going to wrap all the way to the top till we get to the very tippy top, all the way around, pressing it down, making sure that it's all connecting to each other. And when I get to the top, I use hot glue, and I just put the hot glue on the twine and then put the twine on itself all the way around to the top. So easy peasy. Nothing new here. I'm sure you've seen lots of other people do this technique. Now we're going to put the little tag right over the top. It fits over there just perfectly. How often does that happen? Never. Perfectly. Then I made a little twine bow. If you need to know how to make a finger bow or a tassel, I have a video linked in the description box of every one of my videos. You can find that down there, and it's in real time. And this is how she turned out. I just do not feel right bringing you a video without some spindles in it. So these were part of an old vintage chair, and we cut off the leg of it. If you don't have these, you could totally do this project with those wooden dice from Dollar Tree. Now, I'm not even going to paint these. These are absolutely beautiful. I'm going to use some clear wax by DIY and just make that wood look rich. Look how that wax just brings out that beautiful natural wood color. It gives it a nice drink and gets it nice and um, moist, and oh, it just looks rich. I love it. Let me know what you think about that. Would you have painted these or left them in their natural state like this? Now I'm going to take one of those little skewers from Dollar Tree, and you've seen me do this. If you've watched my channel at all, you've seen me do this method numerous times. These little chair legs already had holes in them, and so I just took these little pieces of twigs and drilled a little hole in it. And so I just do this little peg method so that these stay in there. A lot of times when you use hot glue or you glue in there, they just don't, it just doesn't hold as well. I just feel like you get a better hold this way. So this are going to be our little pumpkins. Now I'm going to use some raffia. I had this kind of yellowy, mustardy yellowy raffia and some rust raffia, some red raffia. It came in a pack of 3 from Hobby Lobby. I've had it in my stash for several years, and I'm just going to pull a few strands apart. Now I do redo this one at the end. You will see it didn't have enough raffia on it for my taste, so I pulled it apart and redid it. But this is the same, it's the same concept. I did this to both of them, but just different colors. So basically it's the same but different, right? Does that make sense? Okay, so I used that rust color for this one, and I made the bow bigger and fuller, and I really liked it better. And then I used a little brown leaf. Was it brown or green? I forgot. It's kind of a greenish brown. And see the difference? So I went back and made the bow a little bit fuller. And I have to pick and poke, and then, yeah, it looks much better. And I think they're adorable, and this is how they look. Okay, I was sneaky. I cut 2 pumpkins instead of 1, and then I cut this little stem from a branch off of a tree in my yard, and then I'm going to use, is this Summer Crush? I believe this is Summer Crush. It's really thick in my jar. I need to water it down, but I thought it would be great to dry brush that thick paint on here so we get a little bit of the color, but not a whole lot. And I just kept layering it on. I'd let it dry a little bit and then layer a little bit more. And then guess what I did? I took my little sanding finger sander and sanded some of it off. But I love this look. It's a very rustic look. Well, it wasn't quite dry yet. So let me take my little heat gun and just dry it all down real quick. And now it's dry, and then we can go in and sand it. And I don't want it all sanded off, but just in some places, some of the high spots, so that it looks like it's a little worn and rustic. I'm going to use that same little technique, drill a hole in the top, drill a hole in the bottom. I'm making sure that that's the top of the pumpkin and not the bottom of the pumpkin, because that sounds like something I would do. And then I have a little dowel stick, or one of those little skewers. I call it a dowel stick. And then, yeah, put a little glue, press it down in there good. I'm reaching over there and pounding it on the table, not where my silicone mat is, just on the regular wood table. And then, I mean, this DIY was so incredibly easy. I am going to hopefully have some of these to sell on my Whatnot show today. If you're watching this later or next year or in the future, I apologize, but if you're going to watch this the day that it is aired, you could come on over to our Whatnot show at 7 Central Standard Time, and it's the same Late Night Creations on Whatnot. And this will be for sale, and I will have some undecorated ones for sale, and you can make them however you want to. So I'm just going to take some of these this little pitberry vine and coil it around the top of it. And I believe that's all I did to this one, the best I remember. I did put some clear wax on it to seal that paint in, because DIY paints are clay based and water soluble. So they will, with even the moisture and the dampness in the air, sometimes the paint will be affected. So we do want to seal them up either with a spray sealer or something like Big Top or wax. So I did go back in when I remembered that I didn't. I'm the world's worst about remembering after I embellish that I needed to seal it. And a lot of times I think, oh, I don't want to do something until I'm finished, because a lot of times the glue won't stick to the wax, or, transfers won't stick to the wax or something like that. So I'm always careful about when I wax anyway. So I wax the front, the back, the sides, and then this little project is complete. Let me know what you think about these rustic pumpkins. I have this amazing old sheet music. It's like a choral piece um, in my stash, and so we're going to use it today. I also have this stencil from the DIY Struggle. There's her website. It's also linked in my description box below. She has beautiful, beautiful things, transfers, stencils, decoupage paper, all kinds of wonderful things over there. You can go check her out. Just gonna watch. I'm using little sponge brushes, and I'm using a lot of different colors, and I'm kind of blending them together. I'm putting a little paint on there, and then offloading some of it onto this paper towel, and then just kind of blending the colors together. There's really no rhyme or reason to it. I did the green where I thought it looked like it might have been uh, leaves, but there weren't really leaves. I tried to make it look like there might be leaves. And then I'm just using colors that I think look like fall. And now I'm going back, left, right, left, right, left, left, right, right, and just dabbing colors all over the place. And they blend better if they're still wet. So keep that in mind. And then just peel it off. Now I had taped the paper to my silicone mat, and then the stencil I had taped around the image and then to the mat as well. So I did some at the top and some at the bottom, and look how beautiful it turned out. Like stencil on everything, guys. Stencil on paper, stencil on fabric, stencil on wood, plastic, everything. Anything you can get your hands on. Let's stencil it all up with these beautiful stencils. Now, I didn't make that beautiful piece to just let it sit. So I had this piece of wood in my stash. It was actually a like football season charcuterie board thing my sister had given me. And so it had never been used. It was brand new. It had come from Target. So I put a hanger on the back of it, and or what I'm going to consider the back of it. And I'm going to use this big sponge dauber with some DIY Dark and Decrepit. Now, Dark and Decrepit is a glaze. It can be a sealer. I use it as a stain a lot. In fact, that's mostly what I use it for, as a stain. So you can see how easily it goes on. And then I'm going to take my soft cloth. I love to use my little pieces of an old t-shirt cut up. And after my husband's tired of them or they're worn out, I don't know. Tell me if the men in your life stretch the necks of their t-shirts out, or the necks of the t-shirts get like grunge. Anyway, that's what happens. So then we cut the t-shirt up and have nice little rags. So I'm deciding if I want to do the back or not. Yes, we need to finish off the back because we may want to give this as a gift or sell it on Whatnot. Okay, so we're going to wipe all that excess off, and now we are going to use Mod Podge. This happens to be my favorite decoupage medium. You can use whatever you like. Just like I said earlier, we all have our favorite. things that we use. I'm going to cover the back side of this piece of paper with a nice thin coat, but full coverage coat. I dried it with my little heat gun, as you saw, and then now we're going to use the iron-on method. It's one of my favorite methods to use. And then, but the Mod Podge is completely dry on the back of that, remember? And then we're going to place it where we want it. I've got a piece of parchment paper, and I'm going to use my little mini heat press. You could absolutely use a household iron. Just make sure you have no steam. If you have steam, you are going to ruin your project. And turn it up on high and just run it over. I did that in super fast motion. I was running it over it slowly, like I'm running my hand right there. Now I'm going to take clear wax and seal it up, wipe off the excess. Now I'm using that little piece of rag that I did the dark and decrepit with, so it'll get a little bit of dark on there. I took it out and sprayed it with a spray adhesive to seal it all up, and now I'm just going to wrap some twine around it. I know this trend to do this is kind of out, but I love this look for fall. It's rustic and it just screams fall to me, and I'm going to do it because I like it. So let me know if you still like this look or not. I think it's a good look, especially if you have like a paper like this, like where the paper stops. I like that. It just helps to finish off the project. Then I had this little leather piece that says Grateful that I got at, where'd I get this? Did this come from Dollar Tree? I believe it came from Dollar Tree. And then a little twine bow up top. Let me know what you think about this piece.
I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Be sure and hit that subscribe button because my analytics show that most of the people that watch my videos aren't even subscribed. What? Anyway, please be sure and leave a comment down below so that I know that you're here and I can engage with you and conversate with you. But most of all, I want you to remember to be still and know that He is God.